I want you to imagine stepping into a 1949 Hollywood noir film.
Oh, setting the scene right away.
Yeah, I mean, the air is thick, the neon signs along the Sunset Strip are buzzing, and a 26-year-old aspiring actress steps out into the Los Angeles night.
Okay.
She's wearing this jade green dress. She gives a quick wink and a half smile to her sister-in-law, says she's heading out for the evening, and then, well, she vanishes.
What?
Forever.
It sounds honestly like a script written specifically for the silver screen of that era. But I mean, the reality is far more grounding and
Right.
much, much darker.
Because she leaves behind absolutely nothing, except a ripped purse found in the dirt and a really cryptic, unfinished note ending in a comma.
Just a comma.
Just a comma. So to understand what happened to Jean, you have to understand where she fit into that specific ecosystem. I mean, she wasn't an A-lister surrounded by agents and bodyguards.
No, she was a working class bit part actress.
Right. A chorus girl and a dancer at places like the Florentine Gardens.
Which is an important detail we'll come back to.
Yes, very important. And she carried a lot of personal baggage for 1949. She was a divorcee, for one.
All right.
And she had just recently won this fierce, really bruising custody battle for her 5-year-old daughter, Christine.
Against her ex-husband, Dexter Benner.
Yeah, a plastics manufacturer.
And the intensity of that custody battle really cannot be overstated. Benner had actively threatened her during the proceedings. Yeah. He allegedly told her he would, fix it so she would never see her daughter again.
Oh, wow. That is a terrifying dynamic to live with.
It really is. Yet by the fall of 1949, Jean had seemingly won. The court sided with her.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, she was living with her mother, her brother, and her sister-in-law in the Park La Brea apartment complex.
So she had a support system.
Exactly. She was securing uncredited roles in movies. On paper, she was building a really stable life.
But that stability just completely fractures on Friday, October 7th, 1949.
Yep.
At around 5:30 in the evening, Jean kisses little Christine goodbye. She tells her sister-in-law, Sophie, a very specific itinerary.
She says she has to meet Dexter, right?
Yeah, to discuss a late child support payment.
Hmm.
And then, immediately following that, she says she's heading over to a studio for a night shoot.
I mean, it sounds like a grueling but completely standard evening for a single mother hustling in the entertainment industry. She's, balancing the domestic obligations with the professional grind.
Exactly. And she reinforces that narrative just a couple of hours later. Around 7 p.m., she calls home.
From where?
The LAPD records show she's calling from the farmer's market, which was this sprawling, bustling area near her apartment.
Okay.
She gets her daughter on the phone and she says, "Mommy will be busy all night, but I love you to the moon."
Oh, the tenderness in that message is heartbreaking when you realize what comes next.
It really is.
Because if you start pulling on the threads of her itinerary that evening, the entire narrative just unravels.
Unravels completely.
Almost everything Jean told her family about her plans was a calculated fabrication.
Yeah, so when she doesn't come home the next day and Sophie goes to the police, the LAPD immediately checks with the studios.
Oh,
There were 0 night shoots scheduled for her.
none at all.
None. No movies that she was associated with were in production that night. And a clerk at the farmer's market actually reported seeing Jean waiting around for someone for 2 hours.
So she wasn't rushing between meetings.
No, she was lingering.
Wow. And as the night progresses into the early hours of Saturday, the alleged sightings of Jean shift from, mundane to deeply troubling.
Yeah, like around 1:30 in the morning, witnesses place her at a Sunset Strip restaurant called the Cheese Box.
The cheese box.
Yeah, and she isn't having a casual late-night dinner. She is sitting at a table engaged in a really heated argument with a clean-cut man.
And then it escalates, right?
It does. 30 minutes later, at 2:01 a.m., the situation seems to escalate dramatically. A gas station attendant sees a woman who matches Jean's description in a blue-gray convertible.
Was she driving?
No, she's in the passenger seat. The man driving casually mentions to the attendant that they are driving up to Fresno.
Okay.
But as the car pulls away, the woman slumps down in the seat and yells out to the attendant, "Get our license plate and call the police."
Oh my God. And the attendant tragically failed to get the plate or make the call in time.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this for a second because this is where I get stuck.
Sure.
I get why someone might lie to an ex-husband to avoid drama, but lying to the sister-in-law who is actively watching your child.
Right. That takes deliberate effort.
Exactly. Why build such an elaborate alibi for your own evening? She was setting up a smokescreen, clearly, but who is she protecting?
Well, analyzing that behavior tells you so much about the social strictures of the era. Creating a watertight excuse to be away from home for an entire night indicates Jean was engaging in something highly secretive.
Or maybe something that carried a massive social stigma.
Exactly. She needed her family to believe she was safe and accounted for, which really sets the stage for the deeply guarded secrets she was harboring beneath her public persona.
Well, the mystery of why she was hiding her movements cracks wide open 2 days later.
Right.
And it all comes down to the single piece of physical evidence left behind.
The purse.
Yes. On October 9th, hikers are walking near the Ferndale entrance to Griffith Park. And for some context for you listening, Griffith Park is massive.
Yeah, it's
Over
huge.
4,100 acres of rugged, hilly terrain. So the discovery of her purse right at the entrance kicks off this massive search. We're talking 60 cops and over 100 volunteers.
Wow.
But let's look at the purse itself. It's a black purse, and the leather double strap is ripped.
Torn clean through, right?
Yes, torn clean through it. It suggests a really violent struggle, but inside, her cash is completely untouched.
Which is so telling. Ruling out robbery immediately shifts the focus.
It changes everything.
Right. If someone didn't want her money, they either wanted her or they wanted to silence her. But the purse turns this from a local missing persons case into a massive national media frenzy.
Oh, yeah.
Because of what else the police pull out of it.
Right. It's a note, hastily scribbled on a piece of paper ripped from a notebook.
And what did it say?
It says, "Kirk can't wait any longer. Going to see Dr. Scott. It will work out best this way while Mother is away."
And that's it.
And it ends right there. Mid-thought. With a comma.
Just a comma. Well, to validate the mundane parts of the note first, her mother, Florence, was indeed out of town visiting relatives in Kentucky at the time.
Right, so Jean was taking advantage of that absence.
But the two names she wrote down, Kirk and Dr. Scott, they completely detonate the trajectory of the investigation.
They really do. Because Kirk wasn't just a common name in her circle. Jean had just finished working as an uncredited extra on a major film called Young Man with a Horn,
Okay.
and the star of that movie was Kirk Douglas.
Wow. You are talking about a massive Hollywood heavyweight at the absolute peak of his ascending power in the studio system.
Exactly. And Douglas's reaction to this is wild.
What did he do?
He is on vacation in Palm Springs, and he calls the LAPD before they have even publicly connected his name to the note in the purse.
Wait, proactively?
Proactively. He calls the police out of nowhere to say he barely remembered this woman. I mean, he admits they talked and kidded around with her a bit on set, but he insists that was the extent of it.
So he essentially injects himself into a missing persons investigation to preemptively clear his name.
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like a screenwriter dropped a smoking gun into the real world.
Yeah.
But Douglas calling the cops proactively. That's like hearing a fire alarm 3 streets down and immediately calling the fire department to tell them you didn't light the match.
Right.
You might be innocent, but the proactive denial is highly suspicious.
I mean, it is, but if you look at the mechanics of studio reputation management in the 1940s, his phone call actually makes perfect cynical sense.
How so?
Well, the studios had entire departments dedicated just to suppressing scandals. Morality clauses meant an actor could lose absolutely everything if they were tied to illicit behavior.
Ah, right, the morality clauses.
Yeah. You have to consider how easily the narrative of a vulnerable, uncredited extra could be completely rewritten or suppressed by a powerful leading man backed by studio lawyers and fixers.
Yeah, that's true.
A scandal involving a missing woman could end a career overnight, so the instinct to extinguish the spark before it becomes a raging fire was paramount. Douglas wasn't taking any chances with his image.
That makes sense. But the police ultimately couldn't pin anything on Douglas, which left them staring at the second name on the note.
Dr. Scott.
Right, Dr. Scott.
Yeah.
And stepping into that part of the investigation means leaving the glamorous studio lots and opening the door to the darkest realities of 1940s Los Angeles.
Yeah, the investigation quickly uncovered the underlying reason Jean might be secretly visiting a doctor in the middle of the night. Friends confided to the police that Jean was 3 months pregnant and she was actively seeking an abortion.
So when you look at the historical true crime archives, you have to understand the logistics of that reality for women back then.
It was grim.
Very. In 1949, abortion was illegal. Women couldn't just consult their primary care physician or go to a clinic. The legal system essentially forced women who needed the procedure into the hands of an illicit underground economy.
And the risk was astronomical. We're talking about a black market driven by sheer desperation. Women were handing over massive amounts of cash, sometimes getting into cars blindfolded.
Blindfolded, wow.
Yeah, to be treated by people whose credentials were questionable at best.
Right.
So the police canvassed every single doctor named Scott in Los Angeles and found nothing.
Nothing at all.
They then deployed resources into the nightclub scene, chasing rumors about a former medical student known only as Doc or Scotty, who performed paid back alley procedures, but he remained a ghost.
It just really highlights a terrifying systemic vulnerability.
It does.
And that vulnerability drew the press to make an eerie parallel to another case that was still heavily haunting the city. Just 2 years prior, in 1947, L.A. was rocked by the horrific, unsolved murder of Elizabeth Short.
The Black Dahlia.
Yeah, Black Dahlia. The similarities captured the public's imagination instantly. I mean, both were beautiful, aspiring actresses navigating the dangerous fringes of Hollywood.
Both vanished into the Los Angeles night.
Exactly. And both had their purses dumped as a deliberate clue or maybe a careless afterthought by the perpetrator.
And the true crime community has really latched on to this, specifically through the Steve Hodel theory.
Right, the Steve Hodel theory.
Yeah, so Steve Hodel is a former LAPD detective who claims his own father, Dr. George Hodel, was the Black Dahlia killer. And he theorizes his father might have killed Jean Spangler, too.
Well, Dr. George Hodel was a prominent physician who allegedly ran an underground abortion ring for wealthy Hollywood women.
Right.
Geographically, the connection is incredibly chilling. Dr. Hodel lived in the Soden House, which is this sprawling, imposing Mayan revival mansion. I've seen pictures. It's so creepy.
It is. And that house sits just a quarter of a mile from the Ferndale entrance to Griffith Park.
The exact spot where Jean's ripped purse was found.
Exactly.
And the sources actually note that as recently as 2014, a cadaver dog alerted to the scent of human remains in the soil at the Hodel property.
Wow. It creates a very compelling narrative of a singular monstrous figure operating in the shadows.
It does. But wait, before we go down the serial killer rabbit hole,
Yeah.
statistically, doesn't that feel like a massive stretch?
How do you mean?
Well, whenever I read these true crime archives, it's almost never the Hollywood boogeyman orchestrating a grand conspiracy, right?
Sure.
It's usually the person sitting across the dining room table. Are we letting the sensationalism distract us from the mechanics of what actually happens in these cases?
That is a crucial analytical pivot.
Right.
The serial killer theory is inherently cinematic. But if you look at the sheer danger of illegal abortions in 1949, you don't really need a serial killer to explain a missing woman.
Because the procedure itself was so dangerous.
Exactly. Because it was criminalized, women were routinely put in fatal jeopardy by opportunistic predators. Whether the practitioner was a literal murderer like George Hodel, or just a desperate, unqualified criminal trying to cover up a botched medical procedure, the result for the woman was identical.
That makes so much sense.
Jean's death could easily be a tragic accident of an underground procedure, followed by a panicked, sloppy cover-up.
A cover-up that involved dumping her purse in a massive public park to make it look like a mugging gone wrong.
Right. It's a method of misdirection that relies on the sheer vastness of Griffith Park to swallow the evidence.
But see, I am still stuck on the idea of looking closer to home.
Okay, let's go there.
If we move away from the doctors and the movie stars, the men who were already in Jean's immediate orbit were incredibly dangerous in their own right.
Branching out into her known associates takes us straight into the criminal underworld.
Yeah. Jean danced at the Florentine Gardens.
And you have to understand that these clubs weren't just glamorous venues for dinner and dancing. They were shadow economies.
Shadow economy?
Yeah, they were known hangouts for the mob, where illegal betting, extortion, and illicit networks just operated out in the open.
And Jean was linked to a guy named David Ogle, known as Little Davy.
Little Davy.
Yeah. He wasn't just a patron, he was an associate and a bodyguard for the notorious gangster Mickey Cohen.
And Little Davy was actively under criminal indictment for conspiracy at the exact time Jean vanished.
Right. And the timeline here is highly suspicious. Just 2 days after Jean disappears, Little Davy Ogle disappears as well.
He just vanishes?
He just vanishes into thin air.
Wow.
A customs agent later claimed he spotted the two of them together at a hotel in El Paso, Texas.
Oh, supposedly on the run across the border to Mexico.
Exactly. But the police could never find any solid proof to back that up.
What did her family think?
Jean's mother didn't believe it for a second. She pointed out that Jean fought way too hard in court for her daughter to just abandon her and run off with a mid-level mobster.
That's a great point. And analyzing her mother's perspective brings the focus squarely back to the man Jean fought in that courtroom.
Her ex-husband, Dexter Benner.
The man who explicitly threatened her.
Yes, he had a documented history of cruelty. And remember, the very night she disappeared, the cover story she gave her sister-in-law was that she was going to meet Dexter.
Right, to discuss child support. But when the LAPD questioned Dexter, he claimed he hadn't seen Jean in weeks.
Convenient.
And he came prepared with an alibi. His new wife, a woman named Lynn, swore to the police that Dexter was with her the entire night of October 7th.
But the details surrounding Dexter are baffling. In the days following Jean's disappearance, Dexter is seen walking around Los Angeles with fresh scratches all over his face.
Scratches? And what was his explanation?
His explanation pushes the boundaries of believability. He claimed he got the scratches from dropping glass bottles at his job in a plastics manufacturing plant.
Dropping glass bottles at a plastics job.
At a plastics job.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a terrible excuse.
That's absurd.
And if that isn't sketchy enough, let's look at his airtight alibi, his new wife, Lynn.
Okay.
Our sources reveal that Lynn was formerly married to a man named Ely Lasky.
And who is Ely Lasky?
He is another associate of the gangster Mickey Cohen.
Wait, really?
Yes.
So the ex-husband theory and the mob theory suddenly overlap in this very strange, highly suspicious Venn diagram.
It's crazy.
You have domestic grievance bleeding right into organized crime connections.
Think about it from an investigator's perspective. You have a bitter ex-husband with fresh scratches on his face, an airtight alibi provided by a mob-connected new wife, and he ends up with the one thing he actively wanted.
Full custody of Christine.
Yes. The audacity of it is staggering. If this were a movie, the credits would roll right here.
Truly. When you synthesize these conflicting puzzle pieces, the mob theory provides a sensational, almost comforting escape narrative, the idea that she's living quietly on a beach in Mexico.
Right.
But Dexter had the clearest motive and the most tangible reward. It's a sobering reminder that sometimes the most mundane, bitter domestic disputes are far deadlier than the mafia.
So true.
Look at how Dexter capitalized on her disappearance immediately. He regained custody of their daughter.
And he didn't stop there.
No. When the courts intervened and ordered that Jean's mother be allowed to visit the child, Dexter completely defied the legal system.
He wouldn't let the grandmother see her.
He even served 15 days in jail for contempt, rather than let the grandmother see the little girl.
Oh.
And the moment he was released, he permanently fled the state to Florida with Christine, ensuring Jean's family would never see her again.
Wow, it is incredibly heavy. So, why are we digging through these archives today? Why should you care about a cold case from 1949?
It's an important question.
Because Jean Spangler's story is a haunting mirror. It shows us the mechanics of how easily a woman's narrative can be rewritten or entirely erased by men who have more power, more money, or better connections.
Exactly.
Whether it was a Hollywood star utilizing a studio PR machine to protect his image, a back alley practitioner using the cover of a black market to hide a crime, or a vengeful ex-husband seizing control of his family dynamic, Jean's voice was systematically silenced.
Yeah.
It's a tragic reminder of a 5-year-old girl who woke up one morning to a lifetime of unanswered questions.
And as you process all these different theories and suspects, there is one last chilling detail to mull over. We mentioned it briefly when looking at the physical evidence, but it really deserves a deeper structural look.
What's that?
The comma at the very end of Jean's note.
No.
It will work out best this way while mother is away.
Oh, right. The comma.
A comma is not a period. It is an active pause. It is a grammatical continuation.
Right.
It suggests that Jean didn't just forget to finish her sentence or lose her train of thought. It strongly implies she was violently interrupted in the exact fraction of a second she was writing it.
Meaning someone or something physically stopped her hand.
Exactly. You are left to imagine what the end of that sentence was supposed to be, and ultimately what the end of Jean's life might have been.
That 1949 Hollywood noir film. The actress in the jade green dress stepping into the neon-lit Los Angeles night.
Yeah.
We know the beginning of the scene perfectly. We just don't know who was waiting for her in the shadows to call cut.